Good morning, everyone. Hello. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Harley Carnes podcast. Harley on the headlines. That is just exactly what it sounds like. Of course, it's just me talking about the headlines briefly. Common sense take on whatever's happening. I appreciate not being asked to do it alone. Thank you for being there, liking, following, subscribing. Those are all really good ideas. I'm glad you had them. Democrats writhing in the throes of TDS tried to take from President Trump what every president has had at his disposal before him: the power to wage war for a temporary period without getting the permission of Congress. All he has to do is notify conduit members of the bodies to make sure he wasn't going to war in secret. The Senate considered and shot down the Democrats' War Powers resolution that would have treated Trump differently from past presidents. Republicans kept it from happening. It was pure politics in play. First of all, for the resolution to have any actual power, it would have had to survive the president's veto. They were never close to being able to do that. The House will vote too, but without the Senate, that's meaningless, except as a political statement. This is pretty rich coming from Hezbollah. The terror group has said its renewed fighting with Israel is not connected to the war with Iran. It's Hezbollah's way of claiming that Iran does not pull their strings, pay their way, give them arms and direction. And everyone knows that's a lie. Please don't be shocked that a terrorist group might tell an untruth. The House Oversight Committee is not just a tool of Republicans to do the president's bidding, as Democrats would have you believe. You want some evidence of that? The committee has voted to actually subpoena Attorney General Pam Bondi to talk to them about the Jeffrey Epstein files. The Justice Department has claimed that all of the Epstein files have been released to the public. At least that's the public impression. The committee says clearly that's not quite true, and they want the rest of the files released, even if they are embarrassing or even worse than that for anyone in power today. No date set for Bondi's appearance on the Hill, but it's going to happen. The Federal Reserve is about to get a new chair since Jerome Powell is on his way out at the end of his term. If the Senate confirms him, Kevin Warsh will serve as chairman for 4 years, at least. In the meantime, there is one little skirmish to get settled first. The Justice Department is investigating Jerome Powell over the cost overruns and other issues related to the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings. This investigation is seen as petty and a pretty clear attempt by the administration to buffalo the man and give him some crap for not getting into line with the administration's yearning for lower, economy-boosting interest rates. Now, Tom Tillis is a North Carolina Republican senator. He says he'll block the nomination until that investigation is dropped because, he said, it's just politics. So you can bet the investigation of Powell will evaporate and Kevin Warsh will become the new Fed chairman. Here's the question you may be asking yourself. Has President Trump really been trying to pressure the Federal Reserve governors and the chairman to lower interest rates? The answer to that is yes. Has he done it because he wants to destroy the independence of the Fed? Well, that's a little bit more complicated because, first of all presidents like to put a little pressure on the Fed, usually more subtle than Trump does it. And it's a little more complicated because Trump thinks their recalcitrance to lower rates when the economy needed a boost was purely political. In other words, he thinks the Fed stopped being independent, making decisions for the economy that help in order to hurt him. Now, if that seems ego-driven, it might be, but it would have some basis in political realities in recent years. So the bigger question is, should the Federal Reserve's independence from executive direction be preserved? The answer generally is yes, but the answer is also only if you can trust them to do their job independently of politics. And in Washington, D.C., that is very difficult to achieve. And even worse, there's no answer right now for what to do if they don't. Lou Holtz has died, college football coach of note, because he led North Carolina State to the ACC championship in 1973 when he was the Wolfpack's head coach. He led Arkansas to an Orange Bowl upset victory over Oklahoma in 1978. And he led Notre Dame to the National College Championship in 1986 during his 11 years coaching the Fighting Irish. That was the last time Notre Dame won the national championship, 269 career college coaching victories. Pretty good. Now, Lou Holtz tried coaching in the pros. He was hired by the New York Jets, but that didn't work out so well. Of course, that was the Jets, kind of like trying to go bowling with a porcupine. Lou Holtz is in the College Football Hall of Fame. He was 89. This is unsettling. 3 men in Britain have been arrested for spying for China. One of the men is David Taylor. His wife is Joni Reid. She's a member of Parliament. Now she's on the defensive, even though no one has suggested that she's been any kind of Chinese asset. Here's some good news on the U.S. economy. ADP reports private companies added 63,000 more jobs in February, and the vast majority of them were in small business, businesses of 20 or less employees. That's a good number and a good sign for the economy. And paychecks went up too, gaining 4.5%. Perhaps the most salient fact that might guide workers, those who got the best improvements in their pay were those who kept the jobs they had. The days of being ever on the move in anticipation of always finding a higher paying job may be on the wane. There have been all kinds of stories over the years of people doing something special to help homeless people, but check this out. Life is tough on the streets, and particularly challenging is the issue of laundry. Homeless people are known for nothing more than looking scroungy, unkempt, like their clothes haven't seen the inside of a washer in a long time. That's kind of true. You see homeless people coming, how is it that you identify them? Just like that. In Philadelphia, Joe Richardson's family is in the laundromat business. Now, Joe can identify with people who have no home. He spent 14 years in prison and had a lot of time to think about things. And he decided to do something different with his life once he got out. So in addition to helping run the family laundromat business, of course, he put some washers and dryers on a trailer with a tow hitch. He drives his truck and trailer to the areas where homeless people are, and he washes their clothes for them with his mobile laundromat. That's the whole story. Joe Richardson changed his life, and he's making a difference, helping people who are way, way, way down on their luck. It helps them feel better, feel cleaner, feel more put together, and that can only lead to better things. So I want to thank you for joining us today for Harley on the Headlines. You know, we could kind of groove to the music for a moment. I do kind of like that. Anyway, I hope there's something worthwhile in this little collection of stories, and I hope you'll help me put out the word, maybe get some more people to join in. Like, follow, subscribe, send some emails. I would surely appreciate it. In the meantime, I am Harley Carnes. We'll talk again soon. Until then, do yourself a real favor. Make some good decisions in your life today. Be happy. That is a choice. And fly safe. It's the only way to get there.